income. So these are some of the barriers: lack of job search skills. So we don't know where to look, as Ash said, how to look, how to narrow down, how to apply. And this is a big barrier for a lot of us. Okay? And what we are going to take you through there. Another one is unrealistic expectations. Here we go. Some internationally trained professionals who have high education, technical skills, or good English language skills tend to expect so much more for employment that prevent them from getting their first stepping stone job. Are you in agreement with this? Anyone?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what can you do about that, Taban? What can you do
Yeah,
about that?
it's better to start with something, and then when you are in that, try to find the better things. So you will be in the process.
Right. So I know that you're educated and know you're from a different country. So you'd have to get your foot. We always say, get your foot in the door. Once your foot is in the door, you can always move up. You can always move up. But saying that that job is beneath me, my education is way too high to work in this capacity, those are not good thinking, right? You will be forever be looking for a position. So your first position here is going to be very crucial in you moving on and accepting that, hey, I have to step down a little bit to get my foot in the door, then I can start stepping, making the moving forward. Okay, a lot of people that are coming in with education, I have experienced this a lot of times, lots and lots of times. I used to run a workshop for internationally trained professionals. They would come in there with their degrees and their accreditation, and their expectations were so high, so very high. And the employers would say, you have no Canadian experience. You're not, you want to be an analyst in the bank, but you don't know about our banking, system here. So how can you analyze something that you really don't know? And they would say like, oh, well, we know how to analyze stuff in the EU, so we can do it here, but it's not the same. So a lot of them end up taking a bookkeeping job. And today they're analysts. So you just have to get your foot in the door. Lower those expectations a little bit just to get a job, okay? And not everyone, this will apply to everyone, but some of us it will apply to. This situation is until they accept the Canadian local market. Okay. And it is so true. 6 to a year. Yep, that is so true. It takes them a long time to accept because they spent maybe 4 years in university or 2 years in a college, and they come here and they want the same thing, but it is not a realistic expectation. It's very unrealistic here. Okay, so is that a deflated expectations? That's a barrier, okay? That's some of the barriers we have. Again, it is pointing to immigrants. And a lot of immigrants come here, and I don't know if it's the fact that they were told something in their country and they come here and the expectation is so high, and they don't, they bring with them their distorted ideas about the life in Canada. And it's a big shock when they come here. And things are a little bit tougher. Am I correct? Things are tougher.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So what can I say here? Accept entry-level jobs, entry-level work outside of their field just to get started. They sometimes do that, and deflated expectations. That's another barrier to employment. Loss of support. Being new to the country means losing family ties and friendships which otherwise would offer support and guidance in times of difficulty. So true. Lack of basic modern life skills. I don't know if this part is true. It says here, immigrants from developing countries may lack skills such as time management, stress and anger management, budgeting, and general information needed to cope with the way of living in North America. It is hard for them to find and keep their first job in Canada. Do you say that's true, Telban?
I think so, yeah.
Mofid, are you here? Mofid? I thought he just signed on.
We don't see him here in the...
He just signed on. Where is he? Okay. Alrighty, so we won't elaborate too much about this one. Let's look at some gaps in employment. Okay, so I'm going to say this. So if you have gaps in employment, when you apply for a position, the employer will ask you in the interview, well, you haven't been working for the past 6 months or a year. Can you explain to me the reason for that? They could assume, if you don't have a correct answer for them, that you just got lazy, you just wanted time off, and you couldn't find work based on a lot of things. But if you have to have the correct answer for them, okay? And I'm going to give you some answers. I think I did a handout. In the handout, I gave you some other things you can say when there's a gap in employment that affects you, okay? If you have not worked at all in Canada, then, and you have worked consistently in other countries, then there is no gap. If they ask you, you could just say, I migrated to Canada and I got settled and now I'm ready to look for work. That there is no gap. But a gap exists when you have been working in Canada and you haven't worked for a year or 2 years or 6 months, and that is a red flag to an employer. It is a red flag. Okay, so that's a big, big barrier for employment, a huge one. Okay, so what is a gap in employment? Is a period of time, as I said. It raises red flags in the eyes of a potential employer when the unemployed individual tries to return to work. And they do get nervous about hiring a job candidate without consecutive employment history because they believe that past pattern will be future patterns, right? You're going to behave the same way. You're going to come in, you're going to work for a couple months, you're going to quit and disappear. And so you must have the correct answer for them if that is going to happen to you, if that is part of what is on your resume. So individuals choose to spend time unemployed for purposes such as attending school full time, having and raising their children. This is a bit iffy, by the way. This one, having and raising your children. That's a bit iffy because we all are parents and we all work. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a good answer.
What's the best way to explain a gap in employment because of the pandemic?
Depending, if you got laid off?
Well, regardless, there'd still be a gap in employment, regardless of if it's a laid off or a quit shortly before situation. I just mean, what's the best way to explain to a future employer, I wasn't working because of the pandemic. I didn't feel safe putting myself in a position of risking catching the virus in these situations, or I live with someone who is immunocompromised, and so me working and potentially bringing in the virus would have been dangerous for them. What's the best way to navigate that particular?
That would be it.
Exactly that? Okay.
That would be it. I live in an environment where exactly what you just said in the last part of it. And you were afraid to bring in the virus into the home.
Okay.
Yep. And a lot of people were like you, lots of people. They refused to go into the office. And so some were given the opportunity to work from home, and some were just got laid off. But that would be the correct one for you, Ash. Okay, so employment gaps occur for individuals. Reasons such as the layoff, downsizing, serving time in prison. Now, you have to be careful about this one, serving time in prison. Right? If you've gone to, unfortunately, you don't want to say this. And if your employment terminated for cause, you don't want to say that either. So we have other ways of saying it in the handout, okay? I want you to have a look at the handout after lunch. Other reasons, illnesses, mental health issues. This is another big one. I took time off because I was stressed out at work and I need that mental break, okay? A lot of people are doing this one now. Addictions, domestic abuse, ageism, which is old. I have no updated recent skills or training. Knowledge is obsolete. Technology, illiterate, lack of skills required. So gap in employment could be many, many things, but there are certain ways that we can say it that won't, get the employer to start thinking, should I hire this person or am I taking a risk here? Okay? So when we get back from lunch, there is a handout that I passed out, and I'm going to go over some of the answers in the gap in employment, how you can answer that. And then I'm going to get you guys to we're going to talk about some of the barriers that you may have towards employment. Okay. Is it your lunchtime? Any questions before we sign off at 12:15?
No.
So we are coming back at 1 p.m. Right?
Okay. Was this helpful at all?
Very helpful.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad. Okay, so when you get back, we're going to do a little bit of exercise together and get you guys thinking a little bit more.
And we are coming back at 1 p.m. Right?
At 1 o'clock. You're coming back at 1.
Okay.
Okay, 12:15 to 1, so you have 45 minutes for lunch.
Okay.
Enjoy lunch, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All right. Okay.